Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and I'm here with my official review for Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 4, titled Book of the Stranger. Now, of course, if you haven't seen this episode, please go check it out because this review may contain spoilers. But that being said, let's get into the newest episode of HBO's Game of Thrones. Now, obviously, I stated in my previous review of Game of Thrones, I did state that I was not going to review this episode. I did state I was not going to review a lot of episodes in Game of Thrones Season 6, but I can't help it. I've just been enjoying myself every single step of the way in this season, that I just pretty much have enjoyed every episode equally without any real giant hindrance. So I feel like I'm just going to continue, reviewing an episode until one of them just hits me in a bad spot, and I won't review it. But as that stands, I'm going to continue to review Game of Thrones Season 6, and I hope everybody can enjoy, and if not, well, then let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. But with that being said, let's get into the newest episode. Now, of course, the highlight that I can definitely take away from this episode was definitely the coming together of Jon Snow and, of course, Sansa Stark. We have seen from time to time, but it's been a long time since we've seen characters that really have not been together since the freaking first season of this show to come back and have moments together. And it was super special and amazing to see Jon Snow's reaction to Sansa, Sansa's reaction to Jon, and of course them coming together in a very epic embrace, if you will. And that was definitely the highlight of this episode. This episode could have, and to a certain extent can be, a gigantic hunk of shit, but I loved it for that main reason. I feel like the Jon Snow and Sansa Stark stuff have been the most interesting and compelling dramatics of this season so far. Granted, we're only in episode 4. There's a lot to go down in this season, of course, and obviously following seasons. But at the end of the day, the Sansa stuff and the Jon Snow stuff this season have been the best parts of the season. For me, subjectively, it's been the best stuff. But moving off that, Jon Snow, I feel like the thing that I can take away from what he's going through in this particular episode and how he's going to continue to go on with the rest of the season has a lot to do with Ramsay Bolton. Obviously, previous episode, Ramsay has Rickon, and he has pretty much the entire North, and he's essentially put out the offer for Jon Snow to come over to pretty much give him Sansa, or he's going to fuck everything up. And we know Ramsay could do this because he has a giant army, he has certain people of the North on his side, and of course he has control of the North, and he's gonna fuck shit up. Jon Snow only has, of course, the wildlings, Castle Black, and Brienne, and Sansa, and that's pretty much all he freaking has. So, it's gonna be a very interesting way to transition from this episode once we got the letter, which was super epic. We all knew that letter was coming. It was inevitable. And to be honest, I am super scared for Jon Snow. I mean, he just came back to life and he still has to deal with so much shit. I mean, like, now he has to deal with Ramsay. Sansa's back in his life, but he has to try and protect her. And on top of all this, hello, the White Walkers are still around, so they're coming inevitably. So there is a war coming. Not just one, not just two, not just three, but there's a dozen wars coming, and I don't know if Jon Snow is going to be able to handle every single thing that will be going down. I just wish everyone could just come together like the Avengers already and start taking down motherfuckers. It just, come on, I'm sick of this shit. I want to see everybody just come together and fight as one unit, but it is what it is. We have to wait until the finale season of the series, I guess, to see something like that go down. But I will state this. The highlight of the episode was Jon and Sansa meeting again and having those conversations, but I'm super depressed and worried of what will happen if they take on this conflict with Ramsay. Ramsay will not stop. He will continue. However, I feel like even though there's a lot of promise that Jon Snow could inevitably win back the North, but at what cost? I feel like there will be a cost that someone have to pay for Jon to win. I feel like it would be very stupid if they kill him off again for this season. It just doesn't make sense to bring him back to life and then kill him off again for the conflict with Ramsay and the North. So it's going to be very interesting on that front. I just hope it freaking plays out well for every character, even though it is Game of Thrones, so I'm pretty sure people will get fucked over. I'm just hoping that Ramsay loses because I'm all Team Jon Snow, and if you're not, you need to fuck off. You don't deserve to be in this conversation. But with that being said, there is another impact, or at least another factor, rather, that could impact this whole conversation, which is Peter Baelish. Baelish is back. Littlefinger has returned in the season, and I don't know what his intentions are. He obviously feels like he has to get back Sansa and, of course, destroy Ramsay's forces and take back the North. However, we all do realize that he wants the North for himself. So, can we trust him in this, I guess, comparing of his team with Jon's team? And, of course, how is Sansa going to play off that? I don't know. I mean, like, obviously, with next episode, we'll definitely figure out his full intentions. But I'm just saying, like, I feel like if he's not helping out Jon, he needs a fuck off just like the rest of them. So that's all I can really say on the Peter Baelish stuff. I love the character, but I just don't want him to fuck up this whole Jon and Sansa dynamic that's just created for this specific episode. So that's all I can really say on that front. But moving off of that and going to Westeros, King's Landing, obviously Jaime and Cersei are having their own problems dealing with, obviously, the High Sparrow. And for me personally, I don't know what's going to happen at King's Landing. There's a lot of freaking conflict that's going on against the Sparrow and, of course, the King. And I just don't know what can happen. I mean, granted, there's a lot of factors, a lot of setups for future death that happen in this season. But who really is going to win this? Cersei's out for blood. She wants to destroy the Sparrow, but I don't feel like her teaming up with what she does in this episode will have any kind of general impact towards her favor. I really feel like she's in it for a specific reason that just won't help out everybody. You know, I just feel like King Tommen, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a stupid little kid who has power he doesn't know how to control, so who fuck him. But it's just, she's in it for her own selfish reasoning. She has a trial. She's trying to destroy that shit down, shut that shit down before it happens. So who the hell knows what's going to happen on that front? I just know that people are going to get fucked over. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. These are certain setups that are happening where the Sparrow and everybody else at King's Landing are just going to fuck each other up. And on top of that, they have to deal with Dorne, so I think there's just so many wars and battles that everyone's trying to deal with that they just don't know how to deal with at the specific time. I just don't think so. I feel like it's just one ticking time bomb that's just going to explode and everyone's just going to get killed. That's kind of like where they're heading towards. Maybe that's kind of like the way they want to attack this season, but at the end of the day, I just feel like you got Dorne, then you get the High Sparrow, then you have this conflict within your own family, then then over here in Jon's factory, you have the White Walkers, you have Ramsay, you have the North, you have the Castle Black and the Wildlings, then you have Bran over here who's dealing with his own issues, and then you have, Arya over here. It's just like, where are we going to head? Where are we going to head when we're just going to have to fucking team up, That's what I'm waiting for. I want the team up. The team up to take down the real threat that's out there. And of course, transitioning from, obviously, Westeros, going back into Denarius' problem here. Of course, Jiraiya has reached to Denarius for the rescue party, if you could call it that, from the Dothraki. And I'm going to state this. I'm not really big on the ending of this episode. Granted, this is a very cliche, typical ending of an episode that they like to do with Denarius, which is show off her power and show off how she can bring people to her side. And I feel like that's a card that they've used too fucking much. For me personally, I love the show. I love Denarius. She's right up there with Jon Snow as like one of my favorite characters in the entire program. However, I feel like it was just too easy and just too cliche to end off this episode and this conflict between Denarius and this Dothraki by just burning the whole place down and just surviving because she can survive under fire. It just, you know what I mean? It's like, we've seen this already. We've seen her walk out do something amazing, get naked, and then people kneel before her. It's like, I'm kind of sick of that ending. I feel like if the writers or the creators of this show continue to do that, it's just going to get very cliche and boring. You know, I mean, like, I love Denarius. She's freaking awesome character, but why do you have to end it all the time with her doing the same fucking thing to get people on her side? It just feels too easy of a transition to get her from point A to point B. It just feels too easy, and I don't like that. So the ending of this episode I was not a big fan of. This whole Denarius thing has really been anticlimactic and very lackluster for my, personal, feelings, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Obviously, she's going to have to end up going back to her own conflicts, and I don't know what to say. It's just the Denarius storyline, a lot like the Arya storyline with this season, have been the most lackluster and uninteresting stuff. Granted, now Denarius has, access to all these freaking people who kneel before her, so her army is definitely going to get a lot larger, but, people still don't like her, so what is that going to prove? It's not really going to prove anything, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Tyrion has some form of plan once she returns to really resolve these conflicts, but we'll see what happens. But overall, this episode was a solid episode. There was a lot of freaking setups for future conflicts to go down. Obviously, the Jon Snow, Sansa Stark stuff is the most interesting thing for me personally. The Daenerys stuff is really on the bottom. Jaime and Cersei's thing is just confusing to me. It's like, I feel like they just don't understand what they're really doing, and everything else in between is just, on par with everything else. It's just entertaining and fun. Tyrion, just to see him drink and talk is always fun. So, and of course, Peter Baelish is back. So let's see what happens with his freaking character on this front. But at the end of the day, this episode has to be a solid, like, I want to say a 7.5 on a good day, an 8 out of 10. But mostly a 7.5. That ending just really killed it for me. I'm sorry. I know there's huge fans of Denarius out there that love her to death and love these moments, but I just feel like it's just too easy of an ending. They should have just done something a little bit more surprising and a little bit more creative than just being like, I'm gonna burn the house down. I burned it down. I survived fire. Kneel before me because I'm naked and beautiful. Just stop. Just stop. Don't do that. But let me know what you personally think in the comment section below. I'm super hyped. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Shameless plug time. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Josh12. Subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And this has been Josh12.